grown a lot over the last few months is because of 10 speed builds that have amassed over 50 million views on my YouTube channel and TikTok. So I want to look at each of these speed builds to give a little more info on each of them. So the first one is actually 2 videos, but it's the Steven Universe ones. Let's just watch.
I have been wondering what it'd be like to have Steven Universe in Fortnite, and instead of waiting for Epic to do it, I decided to build it myself. And today I'm building the Steven Universe beach house, and I'm gonna show you how I did it in under 60 seconds.
Okay, wait. So I got a ton of comments of people on both TikTok and YouTube. This wasn't built in under 60 seconds. I meant I was explaining it in under 60 seconds.
I'm not building the Crystal Temple. If you want me to build that, I'm gonna need 10,000 likes on this video.
We
But
got
I still had to build
10,000
some
likes.
of the terrain around the house, so I used the giant shark gallery piece to form the mountain behind the house, and threw in a few other terrain pieces to make it look more layered. I also built out the entire beach surrounding the mountain, and then
I need to go back in and redo that beach. I can use the new sand pieces, would be awesome.
it was time to get to work on the house. From the house, I used these pieces from the Craggy Cliffs gallery, and at this point, it was
Perfect for
actually
this.
pretty simple. It's a 2x3 area for the house, and the hardest part of this was actually just fitting the roof on the top, because it's a totally custom placed roof. Now, there weren't any good windows that fit the house, so I custom made the windows with a wood plank, the black glass from the glass gallery, and a silver cube. Then I added a few details like the umbrella table.
One thing I'm noticing with this is my old mic was way worse than my new mic, so I'm sorry about that, guys.
Threw in some vegetation around the house, and there's Steven Universe's
You know,
beach house
that
with
turned
a
out
code so you
pretty
can go
dang
look
good.
at
Wait,
it
what's
if you
that?
want.
There's like something right here. I think that's some text box or something that got left
I have
on.
no
What the
idea.
heck? Whoops. So you guys met the like goal. I'm just gonna scrub through this. Okay, let's start it like right
If we
here.
get over 25,000 likes on this one, I'll build the entire beach city as well.
We got over 25,000 likes, guys, and I still haven't built Beach City. I will get to it.
Just remember, you brought this monstrosity on yourself. So I loaded into the map and got to work. I figured starting at the top would be the best strategy, and we don't really have any smooth
Guys, I've just loved this music that I use in the background. Steven Universe is such a good show, guys. It's got so much depth. Oh, I love it.
stones in our gallery, so I had to make do with what I have. But I finished the head and had to start on her hair. I used the primitive gallery for my
man.
scuffed eyes and mouth. Then I moved on to the body, which was pretty easy. Formed the arms, made the hands over and under the house. And then the final piece was the lighthouse on the top, which I just used the lighthouse prefab. And we're done. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
Yeah, guys, sculpting, I just am not a great sculptor, but this isn't that bad. I think it's a really cool image there. Oh man, I gotta get to Beach City. A Star Wars build made it into the top 10. I'm super excited about this. I love that Boba Fett's gonna be coming to Fortnite, and to celebrate, I thought it'd be fun to make a working version of his nemesis, the Sarlacc. Ooh,
Pit.
the music
First,
is
I needed
perfect.
to build the surrounding Tatooine desert, and then build one section of the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. Once I had the one section built, I copied it and did the circle trick, but the problem here was there was way too many teeth. So I had to delete a bunch of them, and then I noticed they were too long, so I had to push them in a little bit to make
Yeah,
it look
so
more.
this was kind of a pain to make. I was pretty confident in this build, but man, putting those teeth down, it was just a pain. For the center, I actually used the tomato objective device and just stretched it out, and once again did the circle trick, and it actually looked way better than I thought it would. I used the same tomato objective device to make the tentacles. Here's
That
the
way
problem
I
with
can
this
make it
though.
so
I used the objective device in the center, but I forgot to take off damage. So you can go and blow up the center in the map. It's totally busted, guys, and I'm sorry about that. And I did not want to go and remake it. I used all of these triggers in a mutator zone so that when you walked in it, it appeared like the tentacles pretty
were
cool.
reaching out to you and pulling you into the center. Then I had to duplicate that 5 more times, and I have a working Sarlacc pit. You can play with your friends, but watch out for the Sarlacc. He's gonna get ya. You know, I could probably remake this even better with the prop manipulation device now, but I'm not gonna do that. I loved how this turned out. Okay, this is the moving train one. I loved this. It's the holiday season, and to celebrate, I wanted to make a working train in Fortnite. Do you guys recognize the music in the background at all? It's actually from Undertale. I just felt like it had a really fun, like, Christmas feel to it. I could only use these props to build my train because they're objective devices and they're the only thing you can simulate movement with. And I felt like it turned out okay. Yeah, that train I thought was scuffed at first, but it actually worked out. I used a looping sequencer and these triggers to make the trains appear and disappear, and I think I looked okay. Now I needed to add a car to the back of the train, but I could only add one, otherwise this would have taken forever. Then I had to duplicate the train at least 12 times. This probably took me 3 hours to build, and it was just duplicating all the trains and changing all of the different settings on them. And it took forever
Yeah, see.
because I had to change every single
Yeah, it took a
channel
long
on
time.
every single element of the train. Once that was done, I needed to place it into a semicircle and test to make sure it worked. Then I built a tunnel for the train to go into, put in a tree and surrounding foliage, add in some presents, and we have a working train. So happy holidays, and I can't wait for chapter 3.
Once again, this would be way easier right now with the prop manipulation device, but it is what it is.
I'm super excited about the Naruto skin that's gonna be coming.
Guys, I say Naruto wrong here. And I got so many comments of people saying, you're saying it wrong, you're saying it wrong, you're saying it wrong. You guys are very upset about this. I'm sorry.
In Season 8 of Fortnite, and to celebrate, I wanted to make Ichiraku's noodle house from Naruto. I started off by picking these props to build with, built the base of the restaurant, and decided to decorate the interior as well. I had to resize the roof quite a bit to get it to work, and then it was onto the custom top to the restaurant and some of the details as well. We don't have any windows like this, so I had to custom make it all myself. And then the most important part of the noodle shop was the flags. Now, don't judge me for my terrible Japanese characters here. I'm no sculptor, so don't judge.
I'm so, like, insecure about my sculpting, guys. Every time I have to sculpt, I have to comment on it. I'm just bad at it. I'm sorry.
But I feel pretty good about how this build turned out. I think Naruto would be happy with it.
Naruto would be happy about it, but I don't know about Naruto. Okay, this next one is the first, like, short build that I ever really did. And with 2.6 million views, it kind of opened my eyes to the power of shorts.
You guys have been asking me to make Teen Titans Tower since the new season came out, and in honor of the Raven skin and the new Beast Boy skin, I decided to finally do it. But today we're doing it in under 60 seconds.
Once again, the 60 seconds things really threw people off. I don't do that anymore.
So I started off by doing some simple terrain, then I grabbed this shiny blue block that would act as the center of the tower and made a T. I angled in the T's at the end so it would look more cartoonish, and then I copied the whole T 3 times so that it was a little bit bigger. So then I grabbed the white princess galleries and started to outline the T, and I'm done. Wait! Oh no, the T at the top is too small. All right, I'm gonna readjust some of this stuff real fast. Then I threw in some tiny trees and foliage at the bottom to make the T look bigger. Then I threw a couple satellites and a box on top, and there you have it, guys. I finally made the Teen Titans Tower. Here's the code. You can go in and fly around and check it out yourself. Be sure to subscribe to my...
You know, with this build, I almost didn't do this. A lot of you guys had built this for my build competition, and I just didn't want to do it. I'm so glad I did now, guys. I'm so glad. Now, I knew this video was gonna pop off, and it did.
I love the new chapter of Fortnite, and I especially love the SpiderMan skin, and there's no better way to celebrate the new skin than to rebuild the SpiderMan meme in Fortnite. These are the props I used for the build. This was a pretty easy build, just building the warehouse and the road.
Yeah, this is by far the easiest one of these I've ever made, but just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not smart.
Then I stacked some crates out in the front, and then I used a stretched truck, this primitive shape, a couple of metal doors. I put some...
This truck is so scuffed.
Threw on some tires, and that's basically the scuffed truck. Then I had to make the NYPD letters, and while I'm no sculptor, it was fine.
Once again, commenting on the
I needed to
sculpting.
grab some awesome people from my Discord server to recreate the meme with 2 Spider-Men, and we also had to do it with 6 Spider-Men.
Oh,
Which
so good.
one's the real one?
Man, Spider-Man is one of the greatest additions to Fortnite ever. This one I wasn't sure about, guys. I didn't know if people would like it. This one got over 4 million views on both TikTok and YouTube.
The Will Smith skin just came out last weekend, and I wanted to make his mansion from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I got his skin on and got to work. The first thing I did was use the...
If you listen closely to the music in the background, you'll notice it's like a cheap karaoke version of the song, so I wouldn't get a copyright strike.
And then I moved on to the entrance because that was really the centerpiece of the whole house. Usually I would use the circle piece for these staircases, but I was in a hurry, so I just did it by hand. Of course, we got to use the pillars from the princess galleries for the front. I made this scuffed doorway, which, you know, it is what it is. And what I probably spent the most time on was the windows.
Yes.
I used the primitive shape galleries for my window outlines and interiors, and then the glass added a nice touch to make it look a little darker. And then it was just copying and pasting the windows all over the house to make it look decent. Then it was on to the details in the surrounding landscape. The road had to slow.
Guys, this is a pretty detailed build, and I was surprised how fast I built it. This only took me like 2 hours.
Upwards to the house, which is always a challenge. There is plenty of bushes that worked perfect for this house. I threw in some surrounding foliage foliage, and we were done. What do you think, Will? Is this worthy of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I think so. I think so.
I was so hoping Will Smith would see this on TikTok and comments on it, but he never did. This one was my favorite one to build out of all of them.
I wanted to remake the scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker blows up the hospital, celebrating the brand new remote device that we have in creative mode. These are the props that I used for my build. I started by building the road that would go between the two buildings at the hospital, then threw together the entrance to Gotham General. The hospital was actually pretty easy.
This build was actually a little bit more complex than I showed here, but man, did it turn out.
Mixed together. I moved my hospital wall up to my road, and after putting some grass around my hospital, I needed to make the bridge between the two buildings over the road. I used the primitive shape galleries to do the red and white blocks, and just duplicated that all the way across to make it look like the emergency area.
Using those primitive shapes to build that just took a long time.
Threw in some cars and decorations, and the hospital was pretty much done. Now I needed to set the charges, put in my remote device, and recreate the scene.
The mechanics actually took me like 10 tries to get this right, but it worked. Okay. I have a confession about this video. So all of the explosion sounds there were actually the explosion sounds from the movie. I wanted it to feel more cinematic, so I just edited it in. Okay, we're down to our top 2, and number 1 is only 20,000 views ahead of number 2. I love the new movie Dune and the new Paul skin, and I wanted to recreate a giant sandworm in Fortnite. So I get some comments sometimes that this guy loves everything, and it's true, I do. But with Dune, I've actually read all of the books, and I am a huge fan. So the first thing I needed to do was build a desert. It's really easy to make a desert when you blow up these sand pieces as big as they can get, and then just place them around so they fit nicely together. And there we go. That looks just like Dune, doesn't it? I threw in a few rocks over to the side to make it look just like the movie scene, and then it was time to make the sandworm. I used this one rock that would form the lips of the worm, and all I really needed to do was make one section of the lips and then duplicate it exactly opposite. I was worried about this video.
I
felt like the video was a little bit slow at the beginning, so I was worried people would leave and not watch the whole thing. I was wrong though. It was time to put in the teeth. I used the bones in the Pandora gallery and just stretched them out almost as far as they could go, and then just started randomly placing them as much as I could. Then I selected all of these rocks and teeth, lined up my selection exactly where I wanted to go, and then did the circle trick. This is one of the coolest circle tricks I've ever done. Placing those selections down. I put a black barrier behind the worm, added some sand and dust for effect, and there we have it, a giant sandworm from Dune. Now Paul can get his desert power. I just love that shot right there. This is one of those builds where everything just kind of came together all at the right time, and this probably took me 30 minutes to build this whole thing. All right, number 1. I wanted to do something fun to celebrate the Naruto skin. Notice how I said Naruto. It wasn't Naruto, because as said earlier, you guys just hated on me for it. But I already built Ichiraku Ramen and the entire Leaf Village, so I decided to recreate Naruto's multi-shadow clone jutsu in Fortnite. First, I had to test one of my best ideas ever. A reference device and a sequencer, and it worked. Then I had to lay down a whole bunch of triggers and a whole bunch of reference devices. Once I tested my army of clones, it was time to build the battlegrounds. Once my small forest was done, I added in an enemy to fight Naruto, and then we had to place down hundreds of the clones to make sure this had the right effect. Man, placing down those clones, that took longer than anything on this build. I wanted it to just feel right, just took a while. Put in a mutator zone so it triggered when I emoted, and it was time to finally take on the angle. Witch. She's no match for Naruto's multi-shadow clone jutsu. I got so many comments, people saying, that's not multi-clone shadow jutsu. I know it's the summoning jutsu, guys. That's the only emote we have. Oh, guys, I just love that. It just came together so nice. Thanks, Naruto!